We all have slip-ups. After losing 180 pounds, I know that I had some, but it's not about how far you fall, it's about how you get back up. My name is Carla, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some tips that might help you to overcome slip-ups while on a weight loss journey. I've lost 180 pounds, and over that journey, I can tell you that it was not straightforward, it was not simple, and there were difficult things that happened to me. And what I want to do is to encourage you guys through this video to see slip-ups and falling off the wagon, and I'll come to that in a second, as part of a weight loss journey and things that we can learn from. As a preface to this video, I want to have a quick chat about that idea of the wagon and slip-ups. I believe that the wagon is not a term that should ever be used for weight loss. I actually think it should be put in the bin. The wagon is originated from alcoholism and prohibition era, and literally meant like falling off the wagon, like literally falling off. When we come to talking about alcoholism or consuming alcohol, it is very black and white. Whereas when it comes to weight loss, food addiction, binge eating, and anything in that overeating, obesity, overweight idea, it is a lot more nuanced. There is no black and white. It is very much so just one big grey area. And the idea, the falling off the wagon, leads to, I believe, shame and sense of failure. And falling off the wagon definitely was part of shame back in prohibition era. It's not about how we fall off something. It's about learning from this and continuing on. You gotta eat to survive. You don't gotta drink. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the ways that I hope that we can reframe this idea that slip-ups mean failure, and we can move on so that we can get to our weight loss goals and sustain that weight loss or sustain that weight maintenance when we get there. Also, guys, we are all human beings. If you put us into a hermetically sealed box and gave us a certain amount of calories to eat and a certain amount of exercise to do every single day, most likely then we would be able to be successful. There is a cat. However, that is not reality. Reality is that we have families, we have friends, we have jobs, we have businesses, we have school, we have so many things that are pushing and pulling us, that are dedicating, that can take our focus and cause us stress and anxiety and focus that needs to be placed into other places. You know, we might have sick parents, we might have sick children, we might have children, we might not have any of these. These are things that are going to be taking away from our weight loss journey. And in that term, slip-ups are going to happen. As I said, can't stand the term the wagon. And so I refer to weight loss literally as a journey down a path. And any path that we want to get to, that gorgeous beach at the end of that rocky road to the beach, it has different elements to it. It has potholes, it has peaks, it has troughs, it has bends, it has slips, it has that really rocky area, it's got that really slidey part. If you're going to that beach and you're on your journey, you don't just fall over and say, oh, well, that's it, I'm just going to stay here now. That's not reality. That's not what you would do. You would pick yourself up and you would move on. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do in this video, is how to pick yourself up and move on so that you can get to that beach, get to that goal, get to whatever it is that you are desiring. And in order to do so, I think that what we have to focus on here is not the act of berating ourselves, but is the act of self-compassion. The term the wagon, slip-ups, and all of these different things have a connotation of shame. They have a connotation of negativity, things that we do not want. These are failures, and anything that builds up that failure. And if you're part of Body Slims, it helps you know that we talk about the super ego and the damage to the super ego because we're not doing the thing that we thought we were going to do. But in order to get over that, we cannot always be perfect all the time, because perfection isn't reality. Because of all those external factors that I mentioned earlier, there's so much more going on in our world than just us. And even inside our brains, there's so much more going on. And so we are going to make mistakes. We are going to have slip-ups, and that is okay. But what we need to start to do, and what I started to do, was to understand and look at those at a different way, with a different guise, looking at it as a form of self-compassion. Instead of berating myself anytime I had a slip up, not meaning that I was letting myself get away with, eating a giant pizza or something like that. It was about self-compassion. Say, for example, you come home from a really crap day at work. You arrive into the kitchen, the salad or something that was really boring doesn't really have that appeal for you that you're going to have, or there's not really that much tasty food. You then find out that one of the kids has got suspended and your husband or wife or whatever have to go away for a 2-week business trip, and you're going to be left with all the responsibilities at home, and you just feel like crap. And then your mom rings you and she's giving out about something that you don't really care about, and you're just like, oh my God, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this. And one of the easiest ways for us not to deal with things is to escape through food and to comfort ourselves through food. And we are tired and we just want something easy. And so we reach for, call Domino's, call whomever, and we get that large pizza and we eat half of it, or we eat the whole thing, and that's what happens. Instead of then, what would normally happen is that, as soon as we finish, close the box of pizza, what happens then is we start to tell ourselves, the narrative begins. Oh, I can't believe you've done that. Oh, you've fallen off the wagon. Oh, we were doing so well. Oh, this is awful. Why did you do this? What's wrong with you? Why can't you fix this? What is wrong with you? Everybody else seems to be able to do this. You were doing this, you were doing so well, and now look at you, you've ruined it all. But have you really ruined it all? Probably not. One meal is not going to make that much of a difference. And what we need to do here is to remove that voice of shame and instead replace it with self-compassion. And in order to do that, I would recommend seeing it as if you were speaking to said child or to a friend. What would you say to them? Treat yourself as if you were your friend or your child or your significant other. You've had a really hard day in work. It's really annoying that Jeremy's got suspended. I cannot believe the bill is going away for 2 weeks and I'm going to have to deal with all of this on top of everything else that I'm dealing with. That's really crap, isn't it? It's okay to feel annoyed about all of this. But we know now that the food is not going to help us to feel any better. It's only going to take another hit to our already damaged super ego. And instead, we're going to use this as a lesson, as something that we can learn from and something that we can prepare for, so that when these things happen again, that we can instill this idea of compassion, but also learn from it. And that's what we need to start to do, is instead of just making excuses and throwing the baby out with the bathwater, we need to learn to be compassionate. And one of the first ways that we can start to be compassionate is by changing the way that we speak to ourselves. Instead of, I've failed, I'm learning from this. You cannot change what has happened. You cannot change the fact that you ate that pizza, but what you can do is learn from that. Okay, I learned what it is. What makes this work for me? What has happened in this situation without shame? What happened there? How could I have approached that better that would have led me towards my goal? What if I had prepared an idea of food at home? And if I had planned and I had all those foods ready to go and I just didn't call Domino's or didn't order or deleted the app from my phone so that I can't place that order. These are all things that we can do, so we can start to reframe this as something a little bit more compassionate, a bit kinder to ourselves, but also we can learn from these mistakes. To get back on track, this is a little 4-step routine. It helps us to get into a better mindset that we can learn from and move on. The first thing is to pause and reflect. It is to take the time to quietly, compassionately examine what happened here. What happened in between me arriving home and ordering the pizza and eating it? What was I telling myself? Who was I with? What was I telling myself about myself? Was I present in my body? Was I present? And we're taking that time to ask ourselves these questions. You can choose to do it with journaling, or you can just take a moment, have a cup of tea and sit down and go, okay, what happened in that situation? And by doing that, you're starting to get your brain to catch up with that. Okay, this might not have been the right thing to do, and that maybe we can put a pause next time between the action and the reaction. What we're always wanting to do when it comes to this type of thing, any of these slip-ups or anything that we're doing, is we want to put a distance between the thing that triggers us and the thing that we do as a reaction. So getting home and all of this stuff being a crap day, that is the thing that's happened to us. And then the reaction is to order the pizza to comfort ourselves. And what we want to do is to put distance in between those two things so that we can create a response instead. And the response is to find a way to be compassionate to ourselves. It's also very important here that number 2 is to forgive yourself. Do not berate yourself, to not shame yourself, to not do any of these nasty things, because we've done those before. We've been nasty to ourselves, and it's okay to say, okay, I've made a mistake. That's okay. I'm going to learn from this and move on. Number 3 is to take one small action back towards your goal. And I'm not talking about going out and like exercising yourself to within an inch of your life to, make up for the calories. That's not the type of behavior. We're not punishing ourselves. Maybe go out for a little stroll. Maybe take out your meal plan and plan for the rest of the week. Maybe it's finding a way that you can do something that will comfort you, finding a way that's going to comfort you in between. So by taking those one step action, you can focus just on what's the next thing. So this has happened. So what's the next thing that we're going to do that's going to lead us back towards our goal and lead us down that path? And what's really important here is that we do not press the bucket button. This is what we want ourselves to stop doing, is that once we eat one thing, then we eat everything. We've had the pizza. It's okay. But we're not going to have the pizza and now we're not going to go get ice cream. There is a point in continuing on from that point. When you say to yourself, what's the point? There is a point. And remember your goals and remember your why at this stage. And we're taking that one small action, either deciding what you're going to have the next morning, making sure that your walking clothes are out, or whatever it is that you're doing, have that one small thing that's out ready for you to go for the next day. And reach out for support. If you have somebody else who you know who's doing a similar program to you, reach out to them. If there's somebody online, if you have a coach, if you have something, reach out and ask for support. Talk to your significant other. Say, I'm finding this really difficult at this point when I have all of this pressure on me, and then you decide that you're leaving for 2 weeks. I need a bit more notice. I need a bit more support. And it's okay to ask for that support. It's okay to have that conversation and to find a way to work together so that you're not landed with these things. So there are the 4 little steps that I would place to get you back on track. But there's a couple of elements that I think that we should always be very mindful of and that we should think about for our long-term success when it comes to weight loss. And the first is remembering that consistency is key, and that doing those things one day on top of each other is more important than getting it perfect. Is to get yourself as close to 100%, Jared says, is to getting yourself to that point where it is the best that you can be on that day at that point, instead of going for perfectionism. So if you have a pizza, it doesn't mean that you throw everything out and all of your progress out. Is that you had a pizza, it's all good. We're just going to move on from this part. And the other part here is I think we need to celebrate how far we have come and remind yourself how far you have come up to this point, and celebrate your resilience and how you have overcome the triggers or your need to overeat or any of these slip-ups or setbacks that you've had before. And find ways to remind yourself of what you have achieved thus far. Whether it's looking at photographs of your progress or trying on something that you've wanted, or even if you're at the very, very start of your journey, the fact that you had maybe 6 days of consistency leading up to this point. I hope you've enjoyed this video. This is the end. Leave me the word compassion down, or leave me a couple of hearts or hugs down in the comments down below, and let me know if you have any questions on this topic and if you'd like me to do a full Q&A on slip-ups and overcoming in different scenarios and things like that. Make sure you're subscribed and turn on the notifications so you never miss a video. But most importantly, guys, do not forget to show up for yourselves. I love you and leave you and talk to you very soon. Bye, guys.